darkness, and light. On the Korean Peninsula, this nightly satellite view tells a story not just of electricity, but of vastly different realities. To the north lies the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, one of the most isolated and secretive nations on Earth. While headlines often focus on nuclear ambitions and political rhetoric, the daily lives of its estimated 26 million people are marked by a different, persistent struggle: severe economic hardship. Yet, the nation continues to pour vast resources into its military and projects glorifying its leadership. This stark disconnect, the prioritizing of guns over butter, is one of the most profound and controversial aspects of North Korea today. Getting accurate, up-to-date information is incredibly challenging, but consistent reports from NGOs, UN agencies, and defectors paint a grim picture. For decades, North Korea has grappled with chronic economic problems. Food insecurity is rampant. International organizations have repeatedly warned of widespread malnutrition, particularly affecting children and vulnerable populations. The country's centrally planned economy, heavily reliant on state-owned enterprises and collective farming, has proven inefficient. Decades of international sanctions, imposed primarily in response to its nuclear and missile programs, have strangled trade and access to foreign currency, severely impacting key industries. Natural disasters like droughts and floods frequently devastate harvests in a country with limited arable land and outdated infrastructure. Furthermore, the regime's own policies, like the extreme border closures implemented during the pandemic, crippled what little market activity and cross-border trade existed, reportedly worsening shortages of food, medicine, and basic goods. Access to adequate healthcare is severely limited for ordinary citizens outside the Pyongyang elite. Reports consistently speak of hospitals lacking basic medicines, equipment, and even reliable electricity and heating. Despite the widespread hardship, North Korea maintains one of the largest standing armies in the world. Resources are demonstrably funneled into its military-first, or Songun, policy. The development and testing of ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons continue, consuming immense capital and technical expertise, a clear priority evident in state media and actions. Beyond the military, resources are allocated to maintain the loyalty and lifestyle of the ruling elite. This includes importing luxury goods, items banned under sanctions but often finding their way in, and constructing prestige projects, particularly in the capital, Pyongyang. Gleaming skyscrapers, modern leisure facilities like ski resorts and water parks, and meticulously maintained monuments stand in stark contrast to the conditions endured by most of the population. Vast sums are also spent on reinforcing the cult of personality surrounding the Kim dynasty, building and maintaining enormous statues and monuments, organizing elaborate mass games and celebrations. These all require significant investment, resources arguably diverted from more essential needs. Herein lies the deep controversy. How can a state overseeing such profound deprivation among its people consistently prioritize military expansion and elite comforts? International bodies and human rights organizations condemn this allocation as a violation of fundamental human rights, particularly the right to food, health, and an adequate standard of living. Reports suggest the government systematically uses forced, uncompensated labor from its citizens, including students and prisoners, to complete major construction projects and support the economy, effectively exploiting its people to fund state ambitions while denying them basic necessities. This isn't just mismanagement. Critics argue it's a deliberate policy choice where the regime's survival and power projection supersede the well-being of its populace. The human cost is immense. It's measured in stunted growth from childhood malnutrition, in preventable deaths due to lack of medicine, in lives spent in arduous labor with little reward, and in the despair that drives some to risk everything to escape. The international community has primarily responded with sanctions, aiming to restrict the resources available for North Korea's weapons programs. However, the effectiveness and humanitarian impact of these sanctions are subjects of ongoing debate. Critics argue they can inadvertently harm the general population, while the regime often finds ways to circumvent them for its priority projects. Humanitarian aid efforts face significant hurdles. The North Korean government tightly controls access for aid organizations, limiting their ability to operate freely and monitor the distribution of assistance to ensure it reaches those most in need, rather than being diverted by the state. This creates a difficult dilemma: how to pressure the regime to change its behavior and address the dire humanitarian situation without worsening the suffering of ordinary North Koreans. The story of North Korea's economy is a stark paradox. A nation capable of developing nuclear weapons and building lavish symbols of modernity, yet seemingly unwilling or unable to adequately feed and care for its own people. This controversial allocation of resources, prioritizing military might and elite privilege over basic human needs, remains a defining feature of the regime and a source of profound suffering for millions. Understanding this difficult reality is crucial as the world continues to grapple with the challenge posed by North Korea. The fundamental question remains: can a path be found towards a future where the basic needs of the North Korean people are finally prioritized? Thank you for watching Nations Decoded. Please do us a favor and support the channel by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you, and depending on where you are in the world, enjoy the rest of your day or night.